the New York Knicks. I'm back. Back in the New York. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks is taking no shorts, just like winter. New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is
K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Go New York, go New York, go!
Hey everybody, it is the New York Knicks podcast, episode 546, part of Dash Radio. I am Jay. With me is Mark. This is our standings predictions episode.
Yes. Today it's also opening night in the NBA. Currently, the Bucks are beating the Nets in Game 1. Tomorrow night, the Knicks will play their opening game. NBA is back. It is goddamn awesome, and we're gonna predict how the standings will fall. I believe.
Thank you for the subscription, Anthony.
Okay. So I remember from last year. I was 30 for 30. I got all of them correct how the teams finished. Jay got all of them wrong, and we'll just repeat that again this year with this year's predictions.
Fun fact, we both picked the Knicks to finish in 15th last season.
Did we both? No, I did not pick the Knicks 15.
It's on the website. It's the New York Knicks
You're a liar.
podcast.com.
I think you're rewriting history. You're a liar. Jay, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Isn't that weird? Asking me how I'm doing and I say good. But
That's really weird.
I'm doing good.
By the way, we were talking about this off the show, and this is nothing related to the NBA or basketball. I have 2 episodes to go in Squid Game. Jay has watched Squid Game. If you haven't, and everyone's, obviously it's a very popular show, but holy shit is that show intense. Holy shit, that show intense. Anyway, do you want to start, Jay? Well, also, just to mention, the Knicks, since the last episode, the Knicks won the preseason World Championship. Jay and I both went to the parade. It's awesome. Randall won the title with his last-second shot. How'd you like preseason, Jay?
I enjoyed it. I mean, the fact that they tried so hard, it just shows how this team is all in, and like it's fun. It's a nice change.
Right. Not every team brings we need to win the title in preseason. Not every team, but you know what? I like the mentality of a coach that's like, if we play to win the game, we're here. Every night's about winning. I like the intensity level.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't have to wonder, will the Knicks try to win? Will they give their all any night? They're giving their all in a preseason game. If they're winning on a last-second shot and they're going crazy about it, they're bringing it on Game 1 of the season, from Game 1 to 82.
Yep, exactly.
What did you think of what you saw from Mitch?
Not bad. Obviously a little rusty, but he's been out for a long time. But I mean, I was surprised he was back. As recently as 4 days ago, they're like, yeah, we have no idea when he's coming back. And then all of a sudden he's playing. So great news.
Yeah, he's definitely a little rusty. He's kind of jacked now. He apparently put on 30 or 40 pounds of muscle in the offseason. Also, apparently, my understanding is he apparently was not someone that liked to work out at all. But after when he had a broken foot, he kind of couldn't go play basketball. So he had to just work out. And I guess now he got more into it basically in the off season. You saw that when he had that one dunk and he was flexing, and that was kind of awesome.
Yeah. And it looks like the Knicks settled on Wayne Selden for the last spot. Also, if you go to the New York Knicks podcast.com, I posted the first week's Knicks roster power rankings. I had to adjust it a little from our podcast because Mitch is back. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Actually, and Noel is
close.
He'll be back. He's had a little bit of a setback, my understanding, but he'll be back pretty soon. I am really excited for what Mitch could do. The Knicks played kind of mediocre, if not just trash. They played pretty poorly most of that game, had a great comeback in the fourth quarter to win the game. And one of the things that led that fourth quarter comeback was the pairing of Obi and Randall. Small ball, if you would. How do you like the pairing?
I thought it was all right. I don't I mean, I feel like that's one of those pairings that you can only use in certain matchups. But if another team's going small, I think it'll work. But you're definitely not going to be trotting that out if you're, Aiton's out there or Embiid or something.
Yes, they'll get crushed if you do that. At the same time, I mean, we'll see how it goes. I'm curious to see in the regular season if this is something that it just adds a new element. Basically, if Obi can play some defense, it could be an interesting small ball lineup.
I've also changed my opinion on the Kyrie situation. I am 100% behind him, and I support his decision to not get vaccinated.
Is there a reason for that, Jay?
Might have something to do with Patty Mill hitting 5 threes on 5 shots in the first half of the game, who I drafted.
On your fantasy basketball team. So in other words, for your fantasy team tops the health and safety of our country.
I mean, I was like, just in case Kyrie doesn't come back, let me draft Patty Mills just in case. And one half of a game in, I'm very happy.
I also, with that regard, I totally fully support Kyrie not getting vaccinated and screw the Nets. I also fully support Ben Simmons lollygagging as much as possible in practice and in games and giving almost no effort. Screw the 76ers also. I fully support any player on a team that the Knicks need to beat, not giving any effort or just screwing the team over.
Yeah, anyone in the Knicks division that wants to have complete drama, I am all for. Did you read the whole story about Simmons? Apparently during practice, Doc Rivers was trying to run a defensive drill, and he told Simmons to prepare for it, and he just said no. And he asked him again. He's like, I need you to do this. And he said no. And he's like, well, then leave. And he dropped the ball and just walked out. So that's I mean, he showed up not because he wants to be with the team, but because he wants to get paid. But if you refuse to do anything when you show up, you don't get paid. So
they suspend him for a game, I guess.
Right. So now he lost another $150,000.
Oh my God. Well, at least that contract's almost over. What if they only have 4 years to go?
Yeah.
It's also I love the idea. Doc's like, I need you to be ready and play defense. No. I need you to play defense. No. And Simmons I need you to trade me. Doc's like, no. This is a great situation we got going here.
I mean, he's not exactly doing himself any favors. You think other GMs are reading this story and being like, this is the guy we got to give up assets for? Yeah.
I know. Well, maybe at some point he thinks the Celtics will do. I'm sorry. Maybe at some point he thinks the 76ers will buy him out, but that's just not that's not feasible with this level of contract.
Yeah, no, not with $100 million. Not unless he wants to eat more than half of it.
Right. And is another team so confident that they'll give up enough to get, even if you're going to pay 50 cents on the dollar, are you that confident that you're going to give up a lot of assets for a guy that is just more or less screwing over the Sixers?
Right, exactly. If he's not happy, he'll just not show up. And so you got to be real sure that he wants to come here.
If only there were 2 teams out there. Both had guys that play the point guard position, who were total nightmares in that team. It's the only way. Is there a situation out there, Jay, where you could just swap players?
See, I don't want that because I want Patty Mills to keep getting all these minutes.
That's true. Though Patty Mills will still be allowed to shoot with Ben Simmons on the team because Ben Simmons will not want to shoot.
That is true. Oh, also shout out to Harden, who at the end of the first quarter held the ball instead of took a shot to save his field goal percentage.
I have not watched the game tonight, but that's hilarious.
Because that is the kind of effort you want in a game that you're down.
Let's do our rankings. Okay. We should all go bet the under for Brooklyn. We should all go bet the under for Philly. We should all go bet the over for San Antonio. I made one bet. I bet the over for the Knicks. I should make more bets. This should be an interesting season. Anyway, do you want to start at number 15 or start at number 1? Work our way down or work our way up?
Let's work our way.
Let's start 15.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to start east or west, Jay? We don't discuss anything ahead of time. We're going to decide all this stuff on the show.
All right, let's do west.
Oh, okay. Fine.
We'll start with the least the thing that the people who are listening are least interested in, the 15th spot in the Western Conference.
By the way, I'm going to give my predictions for what I think will happen. But these are what I think for the show. My real prediction is the Knicks are the number 1 seed. They go 82-0 and they win the title. Just not going to do that prediction on the show right now. But anyway,
you do that every year.
Every year. Well, one year I'll be right, Jay, and I'll be like, I called it. Come on, Jay. Just play the clip of me. All you have to do is play the clip of me calling it a year, like the game of the season. They'll be like, oh my God, that guy Marc is a goddamn genius.
I'll just delete every episode except for that one.
Exactly. Jay, so what team is a big enough piece of garbage that they will be the worst team, the 15th seed in the Western Conference?
The Thunder.
Okay, just read my list. Why don't you? The Thunder have the only way they win some games. Shea Gilgeous is when he was healthy last season, he looked kind of awesome. I just don't think there's much else on that roster to will them to victories, will them to win games. They released Kemba in part because Kemba interferes with SGA playing, but also they're just not really that interested in winning. I think they're going all on tanking this year. Again, you have anything to say about this roster? Is there anything like that looks good to you?
I mean, they have a couple of okay guys. Nobody that's going to be a difference maker. I think they're going for the process, and they're going to try and lose as many games as possible.
They have what they have. They have that center with a P. I forget his name, but who's super, super thin.
Yeah.
Like a shoot threes.
He's like 7 feet and like something ridiculous, like 170 pounds.
Yeah. And he's not, I mean, and he also, his shooting percentage was horrible last season, but like in theory, he could be better. There's not a lot on that roster. There's not a lot to talk about. Clearly, OKC is playing for the number 1 pick in the draft.
Yeah.
Who's 14 for you?
The Houston Rockets.
Okay, well, this is going to be a really exciting episode. The Rockets also, I mean, you can't blame them for what's the deal with John Wall?
John Wall is just going to be a mentor to the players. He's not going to play, and he's going to hope to get traded.
Is he healthy?
Apparently he can play, yeah. Apparently he's healthy enough to play. So
okay,
behind door number 1, you have a guy who shows up and helps the young players and politely has to be traded. And behind door number 2, you have a guy who throws hissy fits and won't participate in practice. I wonder who's going to get traded first.
So they're not very good. I don't think Wall will. So I noticed on your face, Jay showed me his fantasy team roster, and one of the picks that he made was Kevin Porter Jr. I think he'll be one of these players who gets he'll do very well on a garbage team. I think you did very well picking Kevin Porter.
I think he's a good stats, bad team guy.
Yes. I very much salute you for that pick. Christian Wood will have a good season also. They'll win some games. There's not a lot. The only way they're any better than 14th seed is if Jalen Green makes a huge difference. Maybe he will. But I just don't think there's a lot of talent on this. There's not enough talent on this roster to really do much this season.
Yeah.
Any thoughts? Anything else you want to add to that?
Their rookie might be good. So there's 3 players at least to watch, whereas OKC, there's like, what are you going to be like? Oh, I really hope Lou Dort breaks out.
Yeah, Dort's fine, but yeah. So both those teams, the Rockets and Thunder, they're really in young team, rebuilding. Totally get it. I understand them being bad. My 13th choice, and I'll see maybe you'll agree or not agree, but my 13th choice is when you're like, what the hell are you doing as a roster? Who do you got for 13?
Minnesota Timberwolves.
Oh, same gun. I mean, these teams are also, I guess it's not going to be that different.
I mean, I thought it was the bottom 3. I thought it was pretty clear.
Holy crap. What a terrible, terrible team. A terrible organization. This is as embarrassing as a team as the Knicks used to be. This is just a terribly run. You have all these top draft picks, and you just don't know what the hell you're doing to make your team win. Towns, maybe he's really good. Maybe he's someone you can't build around because he can't play a lick of defense. I don't know. But Towns puts up lots of stats, and the team sucks with him. I guess Anthony Edwards, Rookie of the Year.
We've learned that Rookie of the Year means absolutely nothing. Half the Rookies of the Year have been out of the league like 2 years later.
It's not that bad.
Recently.
Like, he also, his shooting percentage wasn't very good. Maybe he'll make a jump from year 1 to year 2, and that's the best shot this roster has. They'll have Russell for a full season, or until he gets injured. Last year I was a fan of the Knicks going after Malik Beasley. I'll admit that he's been okay. He's a good 3-point shooter. They're not a very good team.
I was thinking about drafting Malik Beasley, and I instituted a no Timberwolves rule because the last 5 years I have drafted one Timberwolf, and he screwed me every single time. They always underperform. They either get injured or they underperform every year, and I'm not taking a Timberwolf.
I have no faith in the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves are a lock for the lottery. Yeah. It's also the West is pretty tough anyway. So,
I thought the West was 11 deep.
Yeah. I have a question? Do you think Towns is overrated?
I'm not sure. I think he's getting very close to that. He's going to have to do something very soon because he's starting to look like a good numbers, bad team guy.
So a lot of Knicks fans are saying he's a star player the Knicks should go for. Do you think he's a difference maker? Would you make any move? Would you make a move for him?
I don't think I would because, you can argue that Towns has had more around him than Anthony Davis did in New Orleans, and Davis got the Pelicans to the playoffs once.
I don't. First of all, Tibbs coached him before. I don't think Tibbs wants a center that can't play defense.
Towns made it once with Jimmy Butler, right? But that was because of Jimmy Butler,
and that was a Tibbs coach team. And Anyway, I don't think the Knicks. I think the Knicks should not go after Towns. Next choice. Who's number 12 here?
Lowest, I think I picked them in a long time. The San Antonio Spurs.
You're wrong, and we disagree finally. The Kings.
Okay.
I'd like you to defend your choice. Why do you think the Spurs will be worse than the Kings?
I think the Kings have a bunch of good players. I can name 2 guys on the Spurs.
Yeah, that's totally fair. You know what? My reason for why the Spurs are better than the Kings is Greg Popovich. And doesn't matter if you know who the players are, he will get more of that team. Whereas the Kings have more talent, will just get less out of their roster because they're just a.
Yeah, I just think the Kings have
team.
So much more talent than the Spurs that it would be really hard for the Spurs to finish ahead of the Kings this year.
That's fair enough. For a while I thought the Kings were finally going to take off and emerge, and now I've decided the Kings suck and they're going to keep sucking. So, and I hope they do, so the Knicks can get the Aaron Fox or someone else from them. I don't know. They have Halliburton also, so I hope they suck because the Knicks should have gotten him.
Yep.
My 11th choice. Well, who's your 11th choice, Jay?
The Pelicans.
Oh, okay. I have the Spurs here.
I feel like the Pelicans were on the cusp of doing something, and then it just did not work.
I think the Pelicans are better only because they got rid of Stan Van Gundy, who's a terrible coach. Though Zion is apparently hurt. He had a secret foot surgery. I will say, I said this last season, I'll say this again. If you have to redraft, and if I'm the Knicks are the number 1 pick, I would take RJ over Morant and over Zion. Because RJ he'll play games. Zion's going to miss a lot of games. And I think RJ it's just better than Morant. I don't care. I know Morant's look pretty good. I think RJ's going to be better.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And
okay, so
Zion's injury history just scares the hell out of me.
Yeah, I don't know. The big guy having foot surgery just kind of scares the crap out of me, actually. I also was not. They were really not a very good team, despite Zion being awesome. So they got Brandon Ingram. They lost Lonzo Ball. Whatever.
I feel much better about saying Ingram was going to have a better career than Simmons on draft night.
Who's number 10?
The Kings.
Okay. Yeah, I have the Pelicans number 10, so not that different.
Which would, I guess that would make the Kings a play-in tournament.
Yeah, I think if I'm going to bet on anything, though, I'm going to bet on Zion getting to the play-in tournament versus the Kings getting to the play-in tournament.
So from here on, I think they're all decent teams. The top 9.
Yeah, the West is goddamn deep. Number 9, who do you got?
The Grizzlies.
I think that was the obvious one. Yeah, I have the Grizzlies also. Morant's, I think RJ's going to be better, but Morant is still a very good player. They have a bunch of good role players in that team. Hard to argue they're not. And Jaren Jackson is someone, he actually just got a 4-year extension, I think.
That must have been a real hard decision considering he's never healthy.
Yeah. He really has never been healthy. He's all about potential. And the Grizzlies are probably like, either we sign him and just hope he gets better, or we just continue to suck.
Yeah.
Like sometimes just these hard choices, you're like, are you going to be healthy? I have no idea. Fine. Here's your $100 million.
Right.
Please be healthy. They got Steven Adams also. I always liked to a certain extent. They got a couple good players. They got Brandon Clark. They got who else they got on that team? That's pretty good. Brooks. They got a solid team. Yeah. They would look better in the East than they look in the West. Number 8.
Portland Trailblazers.
Okay. We very much disagree about this team. I'm going to take the Warriors because I have the Trailblazers much higher. I have the Warriors here.
Really? Okay.
A lot of people think the Warriors are back. I don't understand it because Clay is not coming back till January at least, and I have a hard time believing Clay is going to be Clay right away. I think when you come back with these kind of injuries, it usually takes a year before you're really back to yourself. So I think it's going to be a worse version of Clay. So that's awesome. The team is still going to be very good, but I just don't think over the course of the season. Sure, Clay's going to have to miss a bunch of nights when he does play. Wiggins won't be as good as he was last season. Draymond will be a little bit worse. Steph Curry will be awesome, but I just don't see this team's not going to be the team everyone thinks. They're not going to go back to the old Golden State Warriors. They're going to be more of a, we just make the playoffs type team.
Interesting. I think they're going to be a lot better than that.
Make your case.
I still think Steph and Draymond are, they have an amazing two-way chemistry, and I think just having those two on the team makes you a borderline playoff team. And then you got some other guys like Jordan Poole looks like he's coming on.
So they just made the play-in tournament last year.
Mm-hmm.
Is the roster much better than last year? I mean, are you expecting Wiseman to make a big jump? Are you just in love with them getting Otto Porter? What about this roster is so much better than last season's roster?
I mean, Otto Porter is an all right move. I think Clay is going to come back close to what he was, and that'll be a huge boost to them. I think not just on the court, but like morale wise, having him back.
I'm sure that will help. I would expect that his shooting will still be there, but he was a fantastic defensive player.
Mm-hmm.
I don't expect the same level of defense from him just because he's coming back from injury. I never bet on guys coming back from these major injuries. I can never really bet them on the first season they're back.
Yeah. He's not rushing back, so that's why I'm a little more confident in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is all about regular season also. So number 7, who do you got?
Number 7, I have. We're up to 8, I believe.
No, I just said Warriors at 8.
Oh yeah, I said Blazers. 7, I have the Mavericks.
Okay. 7, I have the Clippers.
All right, that's fair. I had the Clippers at 6, so not too far off. Okay. I think the Mavericks, you're going to make the playoffs with Luka, but I don't think they have much around him. Like, obviously, we don't trust Porzingis' injury history, and it seems like they did almost the least out of any playoff team in the offseason. Like,
I don't know why you have to be so offensive to Reggie Bullock. They got Reggie Bullock. They're locked in for the title, Jay. They got Reggie Bullock.
And they got Ntilikina.
And they got Frank Ntilikina. So, Jay, you're just stop being a Frank hater. You just go from one team to the other just hating Frank.
I'm just waiting for them to trot out their all Knicks lineup.
Are they calling Luka, KP, and Frank the big three now? If they call them the big three, would it be the joke that KP's included or Frank's included?
Who knows?
I do. So I think the Mavericks are going to win a bunch of regular season games, unfortunately. I just think they're going to be. Well, I put the Clippers here because they don't have Kawhi. How do you put Clippers higher than this?
I put
I
them
really-
sixth because they still got Jackson and George, and I'm guessing that Ibaka will be back at some point. And I mean,
The Clippers. I understand they played very well in the playoffs last year without Kawhi, but I think you go into the season and they're like, you're not getting Kawhi the whole season. There's just like the effort level is just not like, it's one thing to say we're missing Kawhi, but we're in the playoffs. Another thing to say like the entire season Kawhi's not going to be here and we're going nowhere. Guys, play your heart out. I think Reggie Jackson. I think all the guys that played well in the playoffs are just not going to be they're not going to give their all for the regular season. The team's just going to be. They're going to be a playoff team, but like the Mavericks are competing for something this year. They're just going to have a better record because they're competing for something. Clippers are competing for nothing.
So you have the Mavericks sixth.
No, I actually do not.
Wow.
Yeah. But anyway, I think the Mavericks are going to be better than the Clippers. I just think you cannot. Now that I'm talking about it, I don't know why I put the Clippers eighth.
So who do you have sixth?
Sixth, I have the LA Lakers.
Okay.
My argument here. Now, the Lakers will do very well in the playoffs. They have a shot at winning the title. Absolutely. I think the roster's a little overrated. I don't know if the roster really is that much better than last season. LeBron James, it's just a fact. He gets older every season. He's not going to be playing all 82 games. He's going to need nights off. And I don't know if everyone knows this fact, but Anthony Davis is actually older than LeBron James. So he'll need a bunch of nights off also. He'll be injured. They lost Schroeder. That does actually hurt. You love the Lakers moves. They got a bunch of guys there in there. They got Dwight Howard back. I don't know if that's a move you're like, wow. Are you sure they improved the roster? They got Carmelo Anthony. It makes sense if Carmelo Anthony was like 5 years younger. They got DeAndre Jordan.
Well, all the guys they got make sense if they were 5 years younger.
I mean, they
Jordan,
got
Carmelo, Rondo, Howard, and Westbrook. Like 5 years ago, that's like 5 All-Stars.
Hey, LeBron, you know what's going to really help? We got a guy in the roster who can't operate without the ball. You know, LeBron, how you like, don't hold the ball? The other guy's going to want the ball the entire time. When you have the ball, he'll refuse to play off the ball.
Oh, and none of those guys can shoot.
I mean, Westbrook's a very good player, obviously, but I don't know how well he really mixes with those guys. I like the Malik Monk move. I really like.
I like that one too.
Guy.
Yeah.
Kendrick Nunn is an interesting guy to have gotten. I think this roster is not as people are crowning the Lakers already. I don't think this. I think first of all, this is a playoff roster, not a regular season roster. In the regular season, they are not giving their all every night. They're going to miss a bunch of games. They're just not going to. Last season, they weren't a top seed either. I don't see them being a top seed this season, and I don't even know if the playoffs. I'm not as confident in this team as other people are. What about you, Jay?
I'm a little higher on them than you are, but I don't have them as one of the top teams.
I guess if you were going to pick them to play well, would you think they're going to give their all in the playoffs or the regular season, or both?
Well, I mean, for the last couple of years, LeBron's been kind of saving himself for the playoffs.
Exactly. So you can't really bet on their win totals. That's it. Like LeBron, they're a team that's their regular season starts in the playoffs. So like, how do you really bet so much on this team?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to be top 4 just because they realized last year they kind of got screwed being a lower seed. So I think they'll try enough just to get home court in the first round.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, but also like LeBron and Anthony Davis are going to be like, hey, Westbrook, we love having you here. We're going to miss 20 games. See if you can play well with this team of basically see what you can do with this roster. If you take a look at the roster, when you minus LeBron James and Anthony Davis, it's kind of trash.
Yeah.
I mean, you got a lot of guys that used to be good. I mean, Avery Bradley used to be good.
I didn't even realize
Ellington
they got Avery Bradley. I forgot he was in the league.
Yeah, it's a weird roster. I don't like the age of this roster. It's very old.
Yeah. It's a roster where, like, if everybody's healthy, they could be amazing, but it could completely fall apart as well.
Yeah. Okay. Who'd you have at 6?
I think I was at 5. 6, I had the Clippers.
Okay. So who'd you have at 5?
The Warriors.
Okay. I have the Mavericks at 5.
Okay.
I think they have something to prove. KP will be a little more healthy for the regular season, and he shouldn't be as horrible on defense as he was last season.
I wouldn't bank on him being healthy.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he will. I mean, Reggie Bullock's like, he's not an okay addition. I do like that they're like, we have this incredible player, Doncic. He's a generational player. Let's surround him with the 2019 Knicks.
Yeah.
I don't. I think they're going to win a bunch of games. I think they're going to have something to prove. I think Doncic, he's year 4 in the league now. He's going to get better. He'll keep getting better. They're going to win a bunch of games. I just don't see how they're not going to.
Yeah. All right. Number 4, I have the Nuggets.
So 4, I have the Trailblazers. So, and I guess I have the Nuggets above the Trailblazers. My argument for the Trailblazers, you had them lower. My argument is you're going to have a full season of CJ and a full season of Lillard. They seem to always perform well in the regular season. They're not a great playoff team, but they get it done in the regular season. I think they're going to be a healthier roster and just play better. Like they have their backcourt just wins them a lot of games. In the regular season.
They surprise me every season in the regular season and disappoint me every year in the playoffs.
Yeah, they always have a very good record in the regular season. It's not like they have like the addition of Norman Powell they made last year. It's not like they made a bunch of other amazing additions, but
I'm hoping that works out.
Oh, you got him? You
Yeah.
got Norman Powell?
Yeah.
Is Nurkic back?
For now.
Fair enough. They got Nurkic back. They got Covington. Generally speaking, I don't love them in the playoffs, but I do like I like them for the regular season. So I have them at 4. Who do you have at 3?
3, I have the Lakers.
Okay. I have the Nuggets. And I my only hesitation with the Nuggets is I don't know when is Murray coming back?
He might be back like right before the playoffs.
Okay, so they're not getting him this season. Either way, the Nuggets are still loaded with talent. They'll win a bunch of games in the regular season. It does kind of suck they're not going to have Murray though. But I expect Michael Porter will have a great year this year, or he'll get better. And they got Jokic, who's
it's really a shame that they're going to miss Murray almost all season. Like potential championship team, and the window's closed so quick. Like that could be it.
Yeah, if they had Murray, I think I'd pick them as the team to go all the way.
Yeah,
but they still got Jokic, and they're going to be a very good regular season team. 2, I guess we have the same. I bet we have the same order here also. Who do you have 2?
Phoenix.
Oh, okay, we have different order. I have Jazz.
Okay.
And I just have Phoenix number 1 because chip on their shoulder. They lost in the finals. Maybe they give 110% in the regular season.
I just don't trust Chris Paul to stay healthy. They got lucky last season, but I feel like he's due for one of his I'm out for a month and a half stints. And
they have Elfrid Payton. They don't need Chris Paul.
And the Jazz have the same team as they did last season, and they were the number 1 seed. So
my reasoning here was I think Mikal Bridges will get better. Cam Johnson looked pretty good in the playoffs. Cameron Payne looked pretty good in the playoffs. The backup, I think they are a deep enough team to survive losing Chris Paul for 10 to 20 games. I still think they're going to be a really good team. And they have a lot of young guys getting better. Ayton will be getting better. Overall, I think they're going to be a very good. Overall, I just take them. I take the idea of hey guys, we're going to play because we didn't win it last year, we're going to be the best team all season kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And no knock against the Jazz. I feel like the Jazz just keep they keep just losing in the playoffs, and maybe they'll do some experimenting in the regular season to figure out how to be better in the playoffs, and that maybe will cost them some games.
The Jazz, I feel are almost like the Blazers, where they have really good regular seasons and nobody's really scared of them in the playoffs.
No, because everyone seems to figure out it's like Rudy. What's his name? Their center.
Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, Gobert. Gobert is awesome, but somehow they figure him out in the playoffs. You wonder if they're gonna just go hey, maybe we should try to figure out some different lineups, some other ways to make this work. Or Gobert will start shooting from the outside a little bit, or just something to figure out a way to make this work better. I don't know. You know what? We are running long, so why don't we go to the East and move a little faster?
Sure. I'll just say the stuff first. Our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Patreon is NY Knicks Podcast. If you want to email us, nyknickspodcast@gmail.com, and our website is the New York Knicks Podcast. You could also follow us on Twitch to join when we go live, twitch.tv/crumpledbacon. And all our episodes also go up on YouTube. The YouTube channel is TITOWAJ.
By the way, who do you pick out of the West? Who goes to the finals?
This is a tough one.
Really tough.
I think Phoenix goes back.
That's the. I want to say that. I'm going to go with, even though I just trashed the Jazz a little bit, I think the Jazz will go to the finals just because.
I think it's their year.
At some point they figure it out. Phoenix will be a little. I don't know. I just don't want to pick Phoenix because they were there last year, and I don't think the Lakers will go. Okay, who is the trashiest of the trash in the East? Who's number 15?
The Pistons.
The Pistons are garbage. I agree completely. The only chance they have is they have
Cade Cunningham.
Cade,
Yeah.
who was injured in the playoff in the preseason, but I assume will be back from game one.
They have almost nothing else. It's really bad.
They have such a garbage roster, and even they said, Dennis Smith, there's no time to play you. We have to cut you.
So they have Jeremy Grant, right? And that's it.
Yeah, he gets 20 points a game for them. He's a great, good stats, bad team guy. They have a couple. They have Sadiq Bey, who's pretty good. I always like Kelly Olynyk. They got him. They got Frank Jackson, who's never been that good, but I like him also. Overall, they don't have, and Killian Hayes, who is one of those guys that will be there like Kevin Knox, a guy that everyone's thinks he'll get good, and he's just never going to be good. Who do you got at 14?
14, I have the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Okay. Probably not that different here, but I have the Magic.
Yeah, I had the Magic 13.
They gutted their roster. I assume at some point during the season they let what's his name go.
Kevin Love?
No, I was talking about the Magic.
Oh.
Who was the last guy in the ship? Basically, they kept. Oh, Terrence Ross. They'll let Terrence Ross go. They'll let him go to the team. Otherwise, there's not. I mean, I guess Markelle Fultz should be back this season at some point. They got Cole Anthony. They got Jonathan Isaac, who I guess will be back. They have a lot of guys they invested a lot of money in who were injured all last season. They drafted Jalen Suggs, who has a ton of potential, but Orlando's going to be terrible. Cavs, you can make your argument for the Cavs. I agree they're going to be terrible. Cavs are my next pick. So
yeah, I mean,
I'm sure your next pick is the Magic.
Nobody. Yeah, exactly. Nobody seems to like playing with Sexton, and they have a bunch of big men who they have 6 big men. I don't know what they're going to do with that. It's just such a weird roster.
Very weird roster. Kevin Love is just I guess you could trade Ben Simmons or Kyrie for Kevin Love. I think Cleveland would do either trade. Otherwise, because Kevin Love's clearly not going to play much for the Cavs. So what a weird situation that is also. They got Jared Allen, who's pretty good.
I just don't paying Jared Allen all that much money and then drafting a big man too. What are they doing?
No.
And then getting Markin in and I don't know. The whole thing is weird. It's a weird team.
Sometimes you just try stuff. They have Taco Fall on the roster because sometimes you just need to try stuff.
Just get more centers. That's what they need.
Yeah, I mean, their team is going to be really built around Sexton and Garland. They'll win some games, but they're going to be pretty bad. Number 12, what do you got?
The Raptors.
Okay. I think the Raptors are going to be a little better than you think they're going to be. I had the Wizards. I think the Wizards aren't going to – I think the East is surprisingly deep, actually. The Wizards
I actually started having trouble with this after the bottom 3.
I think the Wizards, I think they have a bunch of actual decent players. What I'd say about the Wizards is I just don't think Beal himself can carry them very far. They have some other good players. They'll win some games. They rewarded what's his name? Who I thought looked pretty. Who got 1 million blocks against the Knicks in the preseason.
Gafford, yeah. I was trying to
Yeah.
actually get him in fantasy. I wasn't able to get him.
He's pretty solid. I like him. They got a bunch of decent players in that team. I just don't see them winning a ton of games. But what's your argument for you put the Raptors there?
Yeah, I just don't think they have much left. They seem to. Van Fleet, like, okay, he's good, but like, is he the? If he's like your best guy, I don't think you're going very far.
They got Boucher, whatever you like that guy.
Yeah, but I feel like he's always injured, and I don't know how confident I am in that pick anymore.
The arguments I'd make for that roster being a little bit better is, first of all, Nurse is a great coach. They got Dragic, which is not Kyle Lowry, but he's a very good veteran. I just like the fact that they're very good at developing players. So there's someone on this roster you've never heard of will end up being decent. I like Gary Trent. Pascal Siakam has got to be a little better than he was last season.
Maybe.
They don't have to be, but and I do like Malachi Flynn. So we'll see. He looked good when the Knicks played him.
Okay.
But yeah, my 11, or who's your 11?
The Hornets.
Okay, so we're differing a little bit. I have the Pacers here.
Oh wow.
Yeah, you see the Pacers are going to be a lot better.
Not a lot better. I mean, they had a lot of injuries last year, and that's about where they finished last year. So, like, yeah, I think they make the playoffs or the playing game anyway with the with people healthy. I mean, they got enough pieces. I think you got Sabonis is really good, and Turner's good.
I'm not so confident in this pick. Maybe I picked them a little low. I picked the Raptors ahead of them. I have the Raptors next, and I probably would reverse that, I guess. Yeah, they got Malcolm Brogdon. I might be wrong about this one. I have them at 11, so I'm not missing the play-in tournament, but you might be right about this. Who'd you have at 11 again? Who'd you say?
The Hornets.
The Hornets. I think the Hornets are a team, I don't know, on the rise, but I think LaMelo's going to have a pretty good year this year.
Well, this is where I found it tough because I like a lot of the Hornets players. I feel like the East has a lot of teams that are in that 6 to 11 range.
I have trouble putting the I really just don't see I don't see the Hornets being that bad. I don't know.
I just figure Hayward's going to get injured again.
Fair enough. Yeah. Who do you have next?
10, I have the Wizards. I liked getting Harrell and Kuzma, Caldwell Pope. Like, I thought that was a really nice haul for Westbrook.
I agree. I actually thought I agree with you there. That's why I think the Wizards are going to be solid. I just had trouble with this. I think I said I had the Raptors there. I just think the Raptors are going to be a little better than expected.
And you still have Dinwiddie. I mean,
yeah, no, it's a fun.
Like
maybe I messed this up.
6 decent guys. Maybe Denny Avita takes a little bit of a step, and you got Hachimura. Like, Thomas Bryant will be back at some point. I think it's a pretty good team.
Who do you got at 9?
9, I have the Bulls. Bulls.
Same. Yeah, I feel like they added too much in the roster not to make at least the play-in tournament. At the same time, no one's going to play defense on that team. Outside of, they have that one guy they drafted last year who's going to play defense, and then no one else.
Absolute disaster if they don't make the playoffs after getting all those guys.
So many draft picks they traded to get Vucevic, and they went really all in on this roster.
Yeah.
Lonzo Ball plays some defense, definitely does. The biggest thing on this roster is going to be Patrick Williams. Will he have if he takes like a big jump in year 2, then this team could actually be pretty good. Otherwise, they're going to have a lot of entertaining losses.
They got Levine and Vucevic and DeRozan, and you're saying Patrick Williams is going to be the X factor?
Yeah, well, I'm not arguing those guys aren't going to be good. I'm just saying the one guy that plays defense can guard multiple positions, if he can actually be take a step up, and if he's a bona fide starter in the league and he plays really good defense, if he could be a difference maker, then the roster could be good.
Mm-hmm.
All the other guys, I'm sure Vucevic will get some points. I'm sure Levine will get his points. Lonzo will do something. I just think the team overall doesn't play a lot of defense. The team has a lot of guys who can score with one ball. I think they need a guy they need someone else to really. I don't know. If Patrick Williams isn't good, how is this team playing? This team's going to suck.
I don't know.
Is that a weird statement? Is that a weird statement?
Yeah, I think they have like a really good starting five, and Williams isn't even in that.
Really? Because well, I think he has to be in it. I think who's your four? I'm just saying, Vucevic is a center, doesn't play a ton of defense.
Yeah.
Can score. That hurts you. You got DeRozan, who's fine on defense, not a great defender. You got Levine, who's fine, who's not an amazing defender either. You got Lonzo, who plays some defense. It's a questionable starting lineup in the sense of they can score a lot of points, but I don't know how they can do without like having one guy who plays really solid defense.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. That makes sense.
That's really, that's why I think he's the X factor. It's not because like he's the best player. It's just that like if you want this team to be either we're fighting for a play-in tournament or a team that's going to really fight in the playoffs, they need someone like a Patrick Williams to really step up on this roster. Okay, who you got? Number 8.
Pacers.
Hornets. I feel like we made our arguments already for this team, but I think Hornets have just too much talent to be lower.
Yeah, I just
And
the
I agree with you.
Pacers.
Pacers are pretty good. I agree with you on that.
I mean, they have Brogdon, LeVert, Warren, Sabonis, Turner. It's a great starting lineup. Although, looking at their roster, Brogdon, LeVert, Warren, Lamb, and Holiday are all either out or day to day. So maybe they'll just have a repeat of last season and everybody's injured.
Yeah.
I mean, healthy. I think that's a very good team, though.
We got 7.
Celtics.
I think we're going to start agreeing a lot.
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
I have the Celtics also. I mean, they have 2 of the top 20 players in the league, arguably with Tatum and Brown. Team itself is not that great, but those 2 guys are awesome. And
yeah,
I
feel like
the
they were so close like 2 years ago, and then just botched a bunch of moves, and now they're in no man's land.
Right. The centers, like, I don't have a lot of faith in E.S. Cantor, Al Horford. I don't think you have the same Al Horford they had a couple years ago. The only move I do like getting a bad hair dude from the Lakers.
Oh, Schroeder.
Yeah. But that was a sneaky good move for $5 million. They're gonna be a good team. It's just not the best. Number 6, who you got?
Sixers, which is a hard team to evaluate because we don't know what the team's going to look like. But I feel like, same thing I said with before. Like you got Embiid who was healthy, but do you trust him to be healthy again? And then if Simmons sits out, like then you're just losing your second best player and you have nothing to replace it.
I didn't have the Sixers here, but I pretty much agree with you everything you're saying, and I probably should put the Sixers here. So I instead of the Sixers, I put the Heat here. Mostly Kyle Lowry, great addition. He's kind of old at this point. Do I have enough faith in this team to like? I mean, they're a very good team. Do I have enough faith in Jimmy Butler to like will them in the regular season? Do I have enough faith that Tyler Hero going to really finally like show how he looked in the playoffs in year 1? Is Oladipo going to come back? They have a lot of question marks. They're going to be a good team. I guess my argument basically was the Heat are going to be. I don't know what my argument is. I just thought the Sixers would end up having a bad record than the Heat.
People are going nuts over the Heat. I don't get it. I picked them 5th because most of the reasons you said. I just a lot of their better guys are older, and Harrow seems like he was pretty much terrible last season, and
he had a great preseason. Maybe it'll carry over. I just don't think they did a lot to improve this roster overall, and I don't think the addition of Kyle Lowry is as big of a upgrade over Goran Dragic as everyone thinks it is, especially at Lowry being a little bit older.
Yeah, agreed.
Not necessarily older than Dragic. I just mean like every year he gets a little older and gets a little bit worse.
Yeah.
So 5, I had the 76ers. I agree with all your arguments. What do you have at 5?
Heat.
Okay, fair.
So we just flipped.
4, I think we're all going to agree on the 4. I assume you have the Knicks at 4.
I do have the Knicks at 4. Yeah.
Okay. I love the Knicks. You love the Knicks. Let's move on. And I think there's a legit chance it's going to be there. Number 3.
Yeah, and nobody
Hawks.
seems to be picking the Knicks to finish that high. I don't get it. Like when you look at these rosters, they seem like the 4th best team to me.
I think they improved the roster. 3, Hawks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the Hawks are really good, and they're going to have Hunter, and they pretty much brought the entire team back
bunch of young players getting better, plus Hunter.
Yeah.
2, I'm going to guess you have the Nets and then the Bucks. Is that right?
Nets 2 and Bucks 1, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Who's coming out of the end? You don't have to make your arguments. Who's coming out of the end? Obviously, the Nets are 2 because of Kyrie. Who's coming out? And also the guys are just never healthy. Who's coming out of the East?
I want to be different and say the Hawks. I don't feel good about that at all. I don't want to
Really,
say
you're doing a Knicks show and you're going to pick the Hawks.
I don't want to say the Bucks or the Nets.
Okay, traitor.
I don't want to say the Bucks or the Nets.
Yeah, just do it. Okay, just like.
I mean, I would say the Bucks before the Nets.
Okay, I'm going to say the Knicks. Or putting my fandom aside, I'll say the Bucks are going to. I'll say the Nets are probably going to come out of the East. I'm just not going to say the Hawks. The show is going to wrap up in moments. I want to do a speed round with you in Facebook questions. Let's do 5 questions real fast.
Okay.
Jan writes, I think one of the best aspects of this team that will keep them competitive throughout the year is depth. Noel, Mitch, Kemba, Rose all have injury histories, so I think it will be important. My question is, do you think Tibbs will utilize the depth to limit the minutes on the important players down the stretch, or do you fully expect RJ and Randall and RJ to be leading the league in minutes again?
I don't think they'll lead the league, but I definitely think they'll be playing a lot of minutes. I think Tibbs will probably be more careful with Kemba.
Yes, agree completely. And I think it's not even necessarily that Randall and RJ will be limiting their minutes. I think there's enough depth in this roster that he'll want to give a little more time to Obi. He'll want to give a little more time to some of the other guys. That's why it'll be more a byproduct of the other players being very good also, not necessarily him trying to limit their minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Paul writes, who will be the most impressive rookie, McBride, Sims, or Grimes? Seems like Sims will be needed on the floor the most regardless of talent.
I would have said McBride, but it seems like Tibbs is leaning toward giving Grimes the minutes. So I'm going to go with Grimes.
100% it's going to be McBride. Sims, I'll make my arguments. Sims, even if he gets the minutes, will not look that great. He needs a year of G League work.
He's not even on the final roster, is he?
I think he's a 2-way contract. I'm not 100% positive.
So definitely not him.
Grimes, he did get the minutes. I do agree with you on that. I think the Knicks just have a lot of depth there. I just think because of the health of Rose and Kemba, McBride will get opportunities and he'll look good. So okay. I think overall he'll be the one that shines the most this year.
Mm-hmm.
Paul writes, is Taj shooting 3? And it's going to be a bigger factor because I think he'll be more needed than Sims will be needed.
Mm-hmm.
But then Grimes will be needed. Paul writes, is Taj shooting 3s going to be a thing now? And last year, the Knicks were 27th in 3s attempted. Where do you think we'll end up this year?
I don't think we're going to get a ton of Taj 3s, but it's nice that he can take them. It just opens up the floor more. I think the Knicks are going to be maybe 8 to 12 in 3s per game.
I was going to say guaranteed top 10 finish in 3s per game. I think the Knicks are going out of their way to shoot a lot of 3s. They got a lot of guys who can shoot. I will be very surprised if the Knicks fall out of it. They'll be probably 8th or 9th or 10th. They're going to be a top 10 team for shoot 3-point shots. And last question is Paul writes, is a star going to try and force their way to the Knicks this year? And how much do you think they will be willing to give up depending on the player?
I don't think a star is going to. I guess it depends on the star what they're willing to give up. I mean, if it's a point guard, the Knicks will definitely be willing to give up Kemba, just because his knees are such a question mark.
I think the issue really is all the guys you would identify right now: Dame, Beal. I mean, Dame, maybe they'll give up a bunch of draft picks. I think the Knicks in the right situation will unload to get the right guy, but I think they'll be more willing to give up draft picks and younger players that don't fit into the core. I don't think they're going to give up an RJ unless it's. I don't know who the situation would be. I don't think they're going to give up an RJ to get a Dame Lillard.
Right.
I just don't see the Knicks doing that. I think they're going to want to. If they're going to give up RJ, it's got to be. I don't know who it's going to be, but if Doncic wants to come to the Knicks, by all means take RJ.
Yeah.
But I don't think the Knicks pulling a trigger on any big player this year because I just don't think the guy is going to materialize. That's going to be worth giving up your roster.
Right, and it can't be Beal because he's not vaccinated, so he wouldn't even play 40 games.
Oh, I didn't even realize that's a good point. I also just don't think Beal, like you see Beal, like he's good. Beal would be like Beal. You're excited to have Beal if he's your second option. I don't think you're excited to have Beal if like he's your number one.
I'd be excited.
I mean, I'd be happy. I wouldn't bet. Like, I just don't think like if you like we got Beal, we got the roster. You'd be like, oh, this team kind of sucks.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. If you got the team for him, yeah, but like, I don't know. If you gave up Kemba and Fournier and some draft picks, like
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know if
maybe.
Washington says yes to that.
I don't think Washington says yes to that. That's not going to like they're going to want. I think it's going to have to really unload with draft picks.
Yeah.
The Knicks will unload with draft picks if the right situation materializes. I just can't see it right now. We are running long, so we should wrap things up. So.
Yes. So thanks for listening, everybody. We will be back soon. Next week, we'll be doing another episode of this and our comedy show, The Brink of Sanity. You can check that out, brinkofsanityshow.com. And go Knicks.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back soon.
Goodbye, everybody. It's all over. It's time to go. This is the end. Say goodbye. You better go away. I'm